Today on the Bumper to Bumper Roadmap, a little bit of fact or fiction. Matt, don't worry, I already got something planned out. Open phones and text and the cost of vehicle ownership. And I saw, I'm reading an article here, it looks like a AAA article about the cost of ownership. And I see some stuff in there that's pretty interesting. They're talking about, they took 45 2017 model year cars, and they're saying, hey, on average it's costing you $7,000 to drive and own and operate a car, over the course of a year. That wasn't so much interesting to me because I don't know where they came up with that number because I don't really have the data.
I was shocked by the number because when I think of cost of ownership, I'm thinking trips to the repair shop. But they took in depreciation of the vehicle. They took in a lot of things. So that's really where the number comes.
Average of $8,500 a year. I don't know. But taking everything into account, that's $700 a month. But further on, they talk about cost of maintenance and repair. And they said $1,186 per year to maintain and repair a car. And then further on, it says 1 in 3 people do not have the means to repair their car. So I thought to myself, I said, Matt, we're in the auto repair business. And, when you're 1 in 3 of your customers possibly don't have the money to repair the car, that could make for an unhappy customer because you don't want you're forced to buy something. Well, but they're talking about new cars. There's no cost to maintain a new car. I mean, you're putting tires on it and maybe windshield wiper blades. But in the first 3 years, it's 3 trips to the auto shop for $60 oil
Well, if
changes.
you average it out over 10 years, I mean, that's why they're averages. So there is some cost in the first year. But off the top of my head, I'm thinking of what's it cost to maintain a car in the first handful of years. I mean, we all know that when you buy a car, it depreciates. The most expensive trip in the car is the first one right off the lot.
Very expensive.
I mean? So for a lot of people, buying the used car is where they're going to save a lot of money right off the top, and which is a great idea if you let somebody else take the depreciation. But for our case of just talking this show out, cost of ownership, we're thinking about repairs. So that first year, you got 3 oil changes, maybe 2 depending. Now, I'm not following the 12,000 or 15,000 mile oil change. I'm talking more in the realm of a
5 to 7.
5 to 7 with synthetic oil. Because remember, a lot of us trade in our car that's 10 years old or 15 years old. It's not a $30 oil change anymore. It's now a $60 oil change.
Yep.
And
more expensive.
And you're going to ruin your car if you go, nah, I don't want that synthetic, that silly stuff. That's
just blowing the cheap stuff.
Yeah, my dad said, So those first couple of years, it's relatively cheap, but you still need to have that frame of reference. Budgeting. The old Dave Ramsey. We got to put some money away for the stuff because the year 4 and 5. It's going to get a little bit more expensive, even year 2 and 3 when you need a set of tires. But what that article said, if the average repair bill is $1,100 and a third of the population who owns a car can't afford an unexpected repair bill, well, what's an $1,100 bill? Let's take that 3-year-old car. Tires aren't cheap on new cars.
No, you spend $1,000 on tires.
So you got a set of tires, alignment, and around the same time you have tires, maybe you need
brakes.
An oil change brakes or alignment or something like that. Because there's nothing wrong with a car yet. The car's only got 45,000 miles on it. So there's your $1,100, and a third of us can't afford it.
And we spelled this out in other shows. Year 1, you got to budget $80 a month. Year 2, it's $150 a month because the things that we know are going to happen in the course, the life cycle of that vehicle. But as that payment's fading out, you're like, ooh, my payment book's getting thin. I got a lot less payment coupons in there. But, the car's still going to cost some money to operate. And what's funny to me is when a car comes into me and it's broken at 80,000 miles, they're like, man, the car's been perfect up till now. Of course it has.
Well, we always joke about this, say, you're crazy. I've had this car 100,000 miles. I've never had to do anything. How could it need all that stuff?
I know.
Wait a minute. Just stop for a second and think about
that doesn't make no sense.
What you said. That doesn't make no sense? No, it doesn't.
For sure. So in your budgeting, and let's talk about that, 1 in 3 people don't have that money for the repair bill. It's not a matter if it's going to break. It's a matter of when it's going to break. So it is going to break. It is going to happen. And so the kind of people I find that have money in their back pockets, I mean, that's where I want to be. I want to have money in my back pocket. So I'm not surprised. I'm not living under stress. I'm not a slave, to the debt. Is the kind of people that drive a little bit older car. and they're putting money away and they're budgeting for these things. They're not shocked when their car needs work because they will need work. So if you're out there thinking my car's great, it's great for now, but eventually it's going to need work. And then when it breaks for the first time, I have people say, well, gosh, I should just get a new car. And then I think to myself, okay, you got a $1,000 maintenance or repair, which can be normal on a modern car, and you're going to fix it with a $40,000 solution. You know what I mean? Because they're not giving these things away. I mean, I was looking the other day, like a Sequoia or something. It was like $80,000.
I can't believe the cost. Yeah, loaded Escalade.
Just sales tax on that vehicle is $8,000 for tax and tags. So you're taking this $1,100 problem, and by all means, if you got plenty of money and want to spend it, go for it. I'm not going to stop you for that. More power to you.
Well, yeah, it all depends on where we are in our economic status, and don't get confused. We're not saying if you don't beating you up or anything. We just have to budget. I mean, Dave and I live a little bit of the Dave Ramsey, life of budgeting and not buying what you can't afford. I mean, I'm a big. For certain people, I'm against buying a new car, but if you can afford it and it doesn't cut into your other stuff and you're not,
by all means, by all means, buy a new car. But here's the thing: the point here and the point of the show is that how do we reduce anxiety around this anomaly of the car that people they're going to have to take it to the shop and they don't know what's coming. It is coming. If you can budget for it, it's going to reduce your anxiety. Just by having the wrong expectation going in, you're going to be upset.
Well, in the wrong frame of mind going in too, Dave. We talked about it last week. I think it came up, or 2 weeks ago, about people saying, "Well, I'll just drive it. I'll just drive it till it dies." I think I think I used the analogy of when we had horse and buggies. If your horse was limping a little bit, you took care of it. You didn't just say, "I'm going to walk through it.
Put a splint on its leg.
I'm going to trot it until it croaks, and dig a hole." You're not going to do that with your car. So, I mean, I had a woman in the shop the other day. Or this week, and the car needed something. Oh gosh, it didn't even really need anything actually. And we were talking about. She goes, "Yeah, I'm just going to drive this one till it dies." I said, "Well, you can influence whether or not it's going to die."
Yes, you can.
I mean, if you feed it and care for it, it's not going to die. So don't just take your other car. I mean, your car that's a good car, and ruin it from saying, I'm not going to do that. We got to have, if you have a plan and you're prepared for these things, and like we always talk about, you're having the conversation with the service advisor. Those first 2 or 3 years, maybe you got this new car. You've asked the questions. You've got this relationship. He knows or she knows you're interested in maintaining the car. It's all about what you want to do with it. Because we're going to treat your car differently. If you're planning to keep your car for 10 years, we're treating that car a whole lot different than if you come in and say, "It's a lease. I'm getting rid of this thing in 3 years." It's a different frame of mind on how you're going to take care of that car. So you really have to have a plan.
Was it the old dump and pump oil change?
Well,
people come in, they don't want you to look at anything, and that's okay. But just dump it and pump it. That's kind of the way it happens. Just we're changing the oil and ignoring everything else.
We saw that Better Business Bureau case. It was funny. It was a differential problem, but the people were up in the Midwest or North Dakota or something like that. And we'd never seen that terminology. Remember, David said spill and fill on the differential. We're going to spill, and they wrote it right on the work order. I mean, you're talking about slang, spill and fill, boy.
Well, I think the thing to consider here is if you don't have a plan and a budget, you need to have one. And if you're one of those people that just you want money in your back pocket and you don't want to be a slave to buying a new car all the time and the book of payments, is that plan for it, budget for it. You won't be excitable when the car breaks or needs a repair, some sort of maintenance.